Bill Fleischli, thanks for joining us again on the Illinois Channel. And recently, a coalition of transportation individuals from different industries, rail, et cetera, have proposed to finance some expansion of what they would say are needed improvements to Illinois' rail or transportation, rather, infrastructure. They want to finance it by raising the gas tax, and you have recently come out, your association has come out against that. What is the position of your association?
Well, we're opposed to that. We think that consumers are paying enough for gasoline now, and to raise it another 10 cents a gallon, we think is not necessary. We think that they ought to investigate Bill Holland, the Auditor General's report that said all the money that's going that's supposed to go for roads is not going to roads. We think those questions ought to be answered. Another thing we have to remember that we are raising $1.2 billion a year through a motor fuel tax, and also the sales tax on gasoline at $3.50 retail generates about $1.6 billion a year, $1.3 billion a year. That's some money that we think, and that has doubled over the last 10 years because it's based on the price of gasoline. Gasoline in 2004 was about $1.80 a gallon. We're now at $3.50, $3.60 a gallon, so the taxes have doubled when you have a percentage tax. We think they should investigate at least at taking some of that we have that doubled amount instead of going to general revenue to go to roads.
Yeah, we should point out for the viewers that whereas a lot of states have a flat tax, let's say a nickel per gallon, Illinois has a percentage tax. So as the price of gasoline goes up, the tax collected on the gallon goes up.
That is true. We have a per gallon tax of motor fuel, which is 19 cents a gallon, but we also have a sales tax that in Springfield, Illinois, it's 8.5%, and in Chicago, it's 10.5%. The state gets a percentage of that, and the locals get a percentage of that.
Now, roughly what those who want to increase the tax say that it would be about 4 cents a gallon and that's affordable. As I understand it, you would argue that it would actually be more than 4 cents.
Yes, the incentive on ethanol today, you pay 80% of the sales tax. That they want to eliminate. We all have ethanol in our gasoline, 10% blend. With that, we are able to get a 10% or a 20% reduction in sales tax. They're going to eliminate that 20%. So it would be you'd pay 100% of the sales tax on it, and as retail prices go up, that 20% gains because 20% of $1 is less than 20% of $2. So as your wholesale prices go up and the retail prices go up, your sales tax would go up.
In part and parcel, I know from our previous conversations we have had with Illinois having so many different states surrounding us, how would the price per gallon be impacted vis-a-vis, let's say, the price of gasoline in bordering states?
Okay. Right now, there's about a 15 or 18 cent a gallon advantage between Missouri and Illinois. That would go to 28 to 30 cents a gallon, and that would put the border states or the border facilities in jeopardy. And what that does also is move your border. What I mean by that, usually 8 to 10 miles people would travel across the border to get gasoline. In the last 5 or 6 years, we found that they go probably 20 to 25 miles. Now we think it'd be 30 miles. And what we don't realize is about 2/3 of our population is within about 40 or 45 miles of a border. They will go over, buy gasoline, but they also buy other products. And when they do that, we are losing sales tax revenue on everything.
So they might go over there and buy their cigarettes there as well, et cetera.
Milk, candy, groceries, whatever lottery tickets. You know, when we have these expanded lottery games, you can buy the big games now in almost every state. There's no loyalty to the Illinois lottery. They'll go over and buy Missouri and Kentucky. I mean, when you got a $1.70 or $1.80 a pack of cigarettes between Illinois and Missouri, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Let me be devil's advocate. For those who hear what you just said about people driving those distances, they might say, poo-poo that and say that that's unfounded fears. Do you have statistical data to back up that finding?
We have it in 1995. Now, I know that's 20 years ago, but in 1995 we had horrendous floods, shut down the bridges going over from West Quincy to Quincy, Illinois. When that happened, the volumes in Quincy, Illinois went up 315%. And those volumes stayed there until the bridge is open. 50 miles away in our facilities, the volumes went up over 60%. So that proved to us that people will go. It's a product that can be bought and it can be on wheels, and people will do that. And they organize themselves to go to some place to shop and do other things and buy their fuel.
If we can, can we turn to a couple of other just brief
Absolutely.
issues? And one is the proposal by the governor to raise the minimum wage in Illinois. Does your association have a position on that?
We are opposed to that. When we talk about business, you have to take in your business plan the aggregate expenses. If the minimum wage raises, we don't have a margin of error that we can say, well, we can take this in and absorb it. We can't absorb it anymore. We think it's a training wage. We have a high unemployment rate. We have a high turnover in unemployment. You can't take a person in and bring him in at your rate that a person that's been there a year or two is making. So you have to raise everybody's salary. And we think that that's not the way to do it. We think that we ought to have a training wage where a person meets its objectives to be a good employee. Then they move up into where they can get a permanent wage.
The governor says the mantra for Illinois is jobs, 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 that he's trying to create jobs. What impact, what's going on in your industry? What's the business climate for your association members?
When you raise the minimum wage, let's just talk about that. Probably that's one of our most, personnel is our most expenses now, most expense. When you've got the Obamacare coming in, insurance programs like that, you have to take care of that. When those things, and you raise the minimum wage, that's something you have to handle. We will handle that in a way, probably eliminating positions. When the minimum wage rose the last time, one of my members, I won't say it was, said he will have less facilities in Illinois and less employees. He now has 12 less facilities, and he's got about 120 or 130 less employees. You have to do that to keep in business. It's very competitive. Our margins don't go up when our prices go up. Our internal expenses go up, and you have to react to that. And when you do that, usually personnel will be eliminated.
Another thing that I'm sure every driver has noticed, gas prices have really gone up recently, and it's hard to say what they are day to day. It changes. Here we are in April. What is accounting for that? Is it the Ukrainian thing and the threat of international oil disruption? What is accounting from your
I think
standpoint?
it's everything. I think it's the international politics. Secondly, this is a time when we change over from winter to summer fuel. The refineries have to do maintenance to do that, so that causes an interruption in supply. I think that we've also, the economy may be turning a little bit elsewhere in that more product is being used. So all those things play into that. Usually we have a jump this time of the year, and then it kind of flattens out in the summer months.
And as a reminder to the viewers, because I think a lot of times, of course, it takes a while for people to learn all these different things. When we go to Chicago, if one goes from Springfield to Chicago or from downstate Chicago, Chicago always has much higher gas prices. What is accounting for that?
Well, there are two reasons. One, it has reformulated gasoline. It's a product that burns cleaner. And Chicago and the Cook County and the collar counties are what they call a non-attainment area. They have to burn reformulated gasoline, so that's more expensive. Also, they have much more expensive taxes up there. Their sales tax is 10.5%. Their motor fuel tax, if you're in the city, is 11 cents a gallon higher. So all that makes for higher prices. I think what people should realize and remember, if they would please, that when we had that raise of 20 cents a gallon, just a couple weeks, 25 cents a gallon, that means the wholesale went up 25 cents a gallon. When that happens, when you buy an 8,000 gallon load, a 10 cent for every dime, it's $800. So we had $1,600, we had almost $2,000 a load that cost us extra to bring in that it did a week ago. So that's why prices have to go up so quickly. So we have to make that up, or else we get in a death spiral. And when you have a 2,000, and you don't use one load a week, in a facility you'll probably use 3 loads a week. So that's $6,000 a load per facility. And when you have 10 facilities, that's $60,000 in your operating expenses that go up. So you have to react quickly to that, to an ascending market.
People would say, some people, some drivers are going to say, geez, the price has gone up because we're getting gouged. How much out of a gallon of gas, and we're paying, let's say $3.60 in that neighborhood, how much does the station owner get from every gallon?
The average is about 10 to 12 cents a gallon. And no matter what the price is, that's what the market will let you bear. That's what it is, about 10 to 12 cents a gallon. So when you're paying $3 wholesale, it's 10 to 12 cents a gallon. When you're paying $4 wholesale, it's 10 cents a gallon. But your prices certainly go up. So that is, I mean, we are an industry that deals in pennies, and we have to know what a penny's worth and what a penny will get for us.
And then as we have seen over the last, I guess 30 years, if people can remember back that far, it used to be we just pulled into a gas station and got gas. Now everyone has a convenience store. What is the business mix of in other words, what is sustaining your members? They're small business people. Where do they make their money? Is it off the gasoline? Where do they make it?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we'd like is to make a decent profit off gasoline. That's a volume that we use. We are known as petroleum marketers. We're not petroleum Snicker sellers. So, or Snicker sellers. We that's what we'd like to do. That's a very, very difficult to do right now with taxes and all the aggregate regulations and those kind of things. So the business plan is that we have a convenience store trying to make the local market that you come in and buy things and things like that. So I would guess that probably 70-30, that we make 70% of our profit probably on the islands and then 30% inside. But that's probably every store, every company has a different business plan. It may be the other way. Maybe they don't rely on gasoline so much. So it's difficult for me to say, but I do know that dealing in gasoline and this business is very, very difficult now. We had 1,200 members 20 years ago, and now we're down to about 400 members.
Yeah, actually, that was just about the last question I was going to go. So, it sounds from what we were saying that as you say, it's a very tight profit margin. So are members growing? You just answered that. They're going down. Of those who are still in operating these stations, occasionally we see a shutter to close down gas station. Are your members looking to expand within Illinois? What would they say if they were polled about their future plans to add more stations or to close more stations? What's the direction you're hearing?
Well, I think the direction is that they're holding fast for expansion in Illinois because of the situation in Illinois that we've just talked about, the minimum wage increase, the gas tax proposal increase. They're holding to see what happens. Any expansion that most of my members are doing, if they are expanding, seem to be expanding out of state.
One last question. We were talking about we've also been hearing about the progressive tax, or Speaker Madigan's talking about a so-called millionaire's tax. Is that part and parcel of your memberships? Is that on their radar?
Any taxes, we have to look and evaluate every tax. I don't think too many of my members call and worried about the millionaire's tax right now. So we don't have a stance on that. But you have to look at taxes and how it affects your business, not only your business plan, but your customers. If your customers can't put money in their pockets, then they don't spend money. And if we are always taxing and taking things away from people, then it becomes difficult to do business, any business.
All right. Well, Bill Fleischli, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching the Illinois Channel.